The Midnight Experiment doctor Aryan Venkatesh never feared the dark, until now. For years, he had studied sleep disorders, diving deep into brain waves, melatonin cycles, and the impact of blue light on the human mind. But tonight was different. Tonight, he wasn't observing someone else. He was the subject. He had locked himself inside his laboratory, a sleek, dimly lit space with walls lined with monitors tracking his brain activity, heart rate, and REM cycles. His goal? To test the ultimate sleep hygiene protocol. No screens before bed, a perfectly chilled room, lavender-infused air, and absolute silence. If this worked, he could prove that sleep hygiene alone could cure chronic insomnia. But something was wrong. As he lay on the temperature-controlled mattress, eyes shut, his pulse steady, the room should have been peaceful. Yet an unsettling sensation crept over him, a presence, watching. He opened his eyes. The lab was empty. Just his breathing, the rhythmic beep of the monitor, the low hum of machines. Then, a flicker. The overhead lights dimmed for a split second. The air grew colder. His fingers twitched as his heart rate spiked on the monitor. Arian sat up, scanning the room. He had cut off all digital devices. There was no reason for interference. And yet the EEG machine started beeping erratically, recording brain waves that weren't his. A whisper, barely audible, but unmistakable. "Stay awake." Arian's breath caught in his throat. He whipped around. The room was empty, yet the whisper had felt close, right by his ear. His eyes darted to the clock. 3:07 a.m., the witching hour, the time when the human body is at its weakest, when sleep paralysis demons are most reported. He shook his head. Science over superstition. But then, the monitor flatlined. Not his heart rate, the brain waves. Arian's hands went clammy. He tapped the screen. The graph showed nothing. No activity. As if his brain had stopped, but he was still awake. Then the whisper came again, louder this time. "You changed the rules. Now we are awake too." The lights flickered violently. A shadow, something impossible, crawled across the ceiling, stretching toward him. His body refused to move, frozen between wakefulness and nightmare. He wanted to scream, but his voice was locked inside him. The last thing he saw before the darkness swallowed him was his own reflection in the glass. Eyes wide open, yet utterly asleep.